Okay, we're going to actually have a bill hearing first. Senator Hester.
There, now I can see you. Chair Gazzoni, Vice Chair Rosapet, members of the BBE Committee, thank you for your consideration of Senate Bill 1040, the Federal Jobs Act. And I will be brief because I know that we were all tired. Obviously, we've seen an unprecedented waves of federal layoffs affecting our state, and the need to address these is urgent. As you know, Maryland is home to approximately 160,000 federal and civilian employees and 225,000 additional jobs supported by federal contracts. Recent federal actions are expected to eliminate at least 28,000 federal jobs. 28,000 federal jobs, and already 11,000 have been laid off. When it comes to the economic impact of these layoffs, it's substantial, but the human impact is even greater. And shortly, I'm going to introduce Jalen Lee, who is working on constituent issues and my chief of staff, who hears from these people every day. But anyways, briefly what this bill does is it creates a pathway for these workers to transition into state employment more efficiently. This was an idea that I started talking about with Secretary Grady, albeit after the bill drop deadline. But she is on board with this bill and has also proposed a few technical amendments. The bill is based on JCR budget language from a couple years ago. Somebody was wondering about how to speed up the employment process, probably somebody brilliant in this committee. But anyways, I basically found that guidance and drafted the bill. It basically creates an expedited hiring program within DBM to hire, in this case, formerly federal employees. It streamlines the state hiring process to hopefully a 40-day hiring period for those who have recently left federal service. And it alters job titles. It instructs the program to alter job titles to make them more attractive to previous federal workers. I know that Governor Moore is already working very hard to facilitate hiring at the state level, and this provides a vehicle to help shape it. There's also $2 million, I believe, that this committee maintained in the federal budget for this purpose. I am bringing this bill to you as a vehicle. I believe that there are plans to add other things to it, and therefore I just want to give you guys this vehicle to do with what you see fit. But if you don't mind, I'd like to give my Jalen Lee just a few minutes. He talks to these people every day, and he's got a very unique perspective.
Thank you. Thank you all for letting me be here to add a bit more of a human element to the bill. You know, as Senator Hester mentioned, I talk to these people every day, and being one of the first people in our office to hear the anxiety of Marylanders, a lot of times the issues are far from my personal experience, but as many people in Maryland know, the issue of laid off federal workers touches our neighborhoods, our schools, and our dinner tables. I just wanted to highlight some things. When you talk to these people on the phone, it's very difficult for them to hear a lot of what we're telling them. And telling them to trust the courts does not help them pay their mortgage. Referring them to federal caseworkers does not quell their fears about a lost paycheck. And speeches, talking points, and blame games don't put food on the table. And there's a lot of pushback to trying to comfort them. And what stands out most to me is that it's not just the federal workers calling us, but it's their families, their neighbors, and their friends just clamoring for something, a solution that they can offer to their loved ones. You know, it's a husband who watches the news and hears one of the president's top advisors single out his wife's company for a contract. It's a parent draining her savings and working overtime to provide for her family as her partner scrambles for a new job. And it's the roommate of an NIH employee who hears that her roommate had a panic attack earlier in her day because her badge did not scan when she went into work. Now, albeit her badge didn't scan because of a technical issue, but you can imagine how much fear and anxiety someone has when they go to buzz in and it stops working and they think, is today the day that I'm not working anymore? So yeah, the cuts are destabilizing to our economy. The cuts are destabilizing to impacted workers. but they're really destabilizing to the lives of everybody that that employee touches. And when you pick up the phone and talk to these folks, you can hear the erosion of trust in our government happen in real time. And they just need something tangible, a solution that they can really sink their teeth into. And I think that Maryland is in a prime position to fill in the gap and serve as a source of stability and solid ground for these people that really seek it. You know, Maryland has always been a home to federal workers, and I personally come from generations of federal workers, and I'm not the only one that grew up hearing, get a good government job, it'll provide you stability and a fresh life. But now that the stability seems to be shattered, and now every time I see my parents call me and their caller ID on my phone, I think it's the day that I hear that they no longer have a job either. So people are begging for a solution, something that they can fall back in these incredibly unpredictable times. And they often can't afford to wait for the system to work itself out. They need an immediate source, and a streamlined path to hiring can serve as something that can stop people from emptying out their savings. It can keep families in our state, and it can be something tangible that people can really latch onto as uncertainty looms above their homes. Because when we talk to them about job losses, they're tired of hearing about the numbers. They're tired of hearing the speeches. They just want something that can happen now. And I think that this bill does a really great job of giving us a vehicle to start to do that process.
Thank you. That's terrific. It's a great perspective that you got.
Thank you.
Questions? Yeah.
First of all, thank you for bringing this bill to our attention and all these efforts. Not a day goes by that I worry, that I don't worry about one of my constituents being fired from federal government that they may have dedicated their life to. In absence of this legislation, and Senator, if you don't know this, I'll just ask the administration, but does the Moore administration have any flexibility through executive order to help with some of this if need be?
I think that would be a great question for Secretary Grady or the Moore administration.
No problem.
But
Well,
I think that there's interest in putting other things into this bill.
I got you. I was just thinking, 2, 3, 4 months down the line in terms of, this is not going to stop, right? And every time we wake up, there's another, attack on Maryland in some ways. But I'm just trying to figure out, okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Senator?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator, for bringing the bill. I live with this every day. My wife is a federal employee. So at the end of the day, a question for you, is there anything in your bill, so if the state of Maryland were to take on all these employees because they got let go, what happens when the courts overturn it and they go back?
That is a great question, and I know if this committee can solve the budget issue, they can solve that one too.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Good bill. Does this apply to federal contractors or only to federal employees? Your bill is drafted.
I believe the bill as drafted was only the federal employees, but I would be 100% supportive of including the contractors in some way if we could.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Senate Bill 324. Yes? Okay. We need a moment of transition.